Hello, and you're very welcome to Bealtaine Cottage here in the west of Ireland. Just a little bit of explanation before the video starts. First of all, there's no advertising on any of my videos, so you won't be disturbed by the world of the corporate empire. So today I take you on a long walk, it's about 25 minutes long, through the woodland gardens, down to the pond, along the stream. The frogs are back. Yes, this frog spawn. And back up through the woodlands, up through the fairy wood, up to the old hen house, and I show you all the wood that's been harvested from the wonderful woodland gardens just over the past couple of months, and all in storage in the old hen house. And then I take you over to the polytunnel, 17 years old now, and show you even more wood. Enjoy the video. So this is the view from my front door, which I'm really pleased about now, and the arch is in place. There's a second one to go into the lower woodland, but I'm just going to grab my coffee from behind me here, close the door and make my way down to the woodland. There we go. You can see all the green shoots coming through. And the plans for the arch is to put some clematis montana, which is a lovely kind of a woodland clematis anyway. Put that on one side of the arch and maybe some ferns around it. Not too sure. There'll probably be lots and lots of beautiful little plants will come up naturally anyway, because the woodland is now so abundant. And you can see just here on the left of the arch, you can see the beautiful ribes beginning to flower. And I've made up my mind to repaint the cottage, which is in desperate need of a little bit of repainting anyway. So I'm just waiting now for my friend to fix that barge board. We reckon that the barge board all the way around the porch will have to be taken off and replaced. But that's a big job, I know, but anyway, has to be done. In the meantime, I'm really leaning into pot gardening around the cottage. Several reasons, of course, one being the replacement of the roof at some point. I mean, it may not be for a few more years, but I don't want to have to lose plants. So putting them into pots makes it a sort of a movable feast. So you have to excuse the sound of I've got my puffer jacket on because it's a little bit cool. So excuse that sound. So there's been quite a lot of heavy rain over recent days. And let me see, today's Sunday. What day was it? Friday, yes. Yes, it was last Friday. I was down here having my coffee, walking around, peeped into the pond, and there, in a very unexpected part of the pond, was a heap of frog spawn. So I'm going to take you down there now. There's probably been some more laid. Let's go and have a look. So another little task that I got round to doing was cutting back the bamboo just over there. I'll show you because we're going to be walking that way. It was beginning to overtake the path. Now, I must say, in fact, I've got to keep saying this, bamboo is not invasive in a woodland setting because it can't work its way around tree roots. It will try, and of course it's up to the caretaker of the woodland or the gardener to be proactive and work with Mother Earth, rather than just say, oh, that's invasive, I'm not planting it. So this is a little ditch. Look how fast that's flowing. And I've taken you along here before, so you know where all that goes. So here's where I've been cutting back the bamboo. And there's quite a lot, look at that. Quite a big heap of it, and that's all going to go through the shredder, which of course goes to make paths. So how can something be invasive when it's so useful? So I've also done a little bit of trimming back over here. Now some of these bamboo canes are very thick, very long and sturdy, so I'll be saving some of them for garden projects. But this is called caring for the earth. I can never understand this whole invasive plant thing, because plants only invade where they have the space to invade, or if people don't look after the land. Talking of land, this is very wet here, but all my little seedling trees, all my little saplings are there, and they should be fine actually in that wet ground, because I've chosen well. Now, oh, you can hear it's quite spongy underfoot here. And you can see all the water now coming from the spring well and coming from the little tributaries that flow into this. Massive amount of water, massive amount of rain. Let's have a look for this frog spawn. Okay, some of you were a little bit concerned when I talked about creating this peninsula path, which is below my feet, on the pond, and turning the pond into a stream. But of course, if you have looked at what I was doing with the original pond, I've been creating a wetland. And a wetland, of course, is all about where water can be very still. And look at all the frog spawn that's been laid into this beautiful little wetland. Isn't that incredible? And it's not just there, but it's in all little shallow, still parts of the waterway. So you can see over there all the water that was flowing in the old ditch. It's gone underground and it's emerged just there. And you can see it now flowing into the pond. There's quite a gush on the water this morning because of all the rain. Of course, the rain is quite welcome here in the west of Ireland, because when it's raining, it's not freezing. So the temperatures are a little bit more hospitable. So as I'm walking along, I'm just looking for more and more signs of spring. There's the sedge coming up there. And I want to let you know about, I want to give you an update on the progression of another 2 acres or so for Bealtaine Cottage Well, Bealtaine Project 2, Bealtaine Woodland Project 2. And this is going to be my third attempt in an auction to succeed in getting a couple of acres. And I should know by the end of the coming week whether I've been successful or not. So it's an ongoing search for the right piece of land not too far from here. I'm starting to get a little bit excited about that. Look at this oak tree. 16 years old or so. It's now massive. So starting a second project of woodlanding, of planting a woodland. It's going to be at least, it's going to be at least a 10-year project, and hopefully for me it'll be a 15-year project. That will take me into my 80s, which I'm very optimistic about this, yeah. Well, you've got to be, haven't you? There's no point in being pessimistic. We leave that to all the politicians and all the nonsense that's going on out there in the world. Beyond my control. But planting trees is very much within my control and yours. Some more beautiful signs of spring. This, of course, is the ribes. I started a love affair with ribes right at the very beginning of this project back in 2004, 2005, and realised that by just taking a little bit and sticking it straight into the earth, it would root and develop into a beautiful shrub. And one of the first plants to flower for nectar for the early emerging wild bees, which of course inhabit here. This is also another shrub which is wonderful, and it is it's quince, or Japanese quince. The Latin is Chanomales, I think. Chaenomales, something like that. But this is a wonderful, wonderful shrub. And of course, this is part of the woodland that I have been clearing, coppicing, pollarding, and replanting with secondary growth trees. So I've got in here and managed to kind of trim back some of this quince, which had gone quite wild. It's going to take a couple of years to get it back into a more abundant shrub, which of course happens when you start to trim back and to take care of. And you can see down there some of those beautiful little pink flowers. And over there you can see on the woodland floor fungi. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And this here is one of the first edible herbs to come up. And this is sorrel, wild sorrel, which is very beneficial for you and grows in abundance here, as do a lot of the wild herbs. Of course, herbs are by nature wild. It's only us that have cultivated them. But the sorrel is brilliant, and just to pick little bits and chew it as you walk around, it's very beneficial, very health-giving. Makes wonderful soup too. And still lots of fungi, because of course we've got those lovely in-out temperatures. It's quite mild most of the spring, although the spring can be very cold, but fungi is popping up just about everywhere. One of the extraordinarily beautiful and quite enchanting goat willows. And as I often say in my videos, these willows are beautiful because they don't snap in the wind, and they have a lifespan, and then they fall gently back towards and into and onto Mother Earth. This is what's happening here with this one. And in the process, opening up the canopy for more light. The beautiful Celendines are coming up, and they're coming up everywhere. And they just flourish here on this land, which of course at the very beginning was just rushy fields. And now we have Celendines amongst hundreds of other beautiful, wild, native Irish species. There's some more of the woodland that I have been clearing and replanting. And you can see, although it's puddled a little bit, but that is a horse chestnut. And there's a little oak there. This is a bird cherry, I think it is. And so on. So the work continues all the time. It's not woodland gardening and woodland management. It's a very proactive labour of love, really is. Because of course, as you are gardening and helping to create all this, Mother Earth is working with you, and so you're constantly being surprised with little treats. It's another little ditch. And of course, when it does rain heavily, all these little ditches carry the water down through the pond and safely on its way out to the River Fairish. So, before I sign off from this video, I'm going to take you up through a little part of the fairy wood here, which a little bit of a secret pathway, and I'm going to finish off with a view of some of the wood that's been logged from this incredible little woodland. Look, there's the old stone wall, the bank. We're quite low down here. And just stepping over this. Look at the size of this fern. There's the elder tree up there. And this is the old sort of compost bank. It's a bank that I created with masses and masses of stuff that I have cleared over the years and put onto this bank to create habitat and eventually fertility. So, just see if I can manage this one-handedly. I'm going up steps. It's quite a climb. Now, I rarely take you through here. There's some more little steps there. You can see where I am now. I'll just look back down there. So we're up here now at the back of the cottage, and take you up to what was the old hen house. Oh, let's just give you an update on the purple sprouting broccoli. They've all been successfully transplanted and they're looking pretty good, I think. Let's have a bit of a close-up. Yeah, they're looking healthy, aren't they? Look at that. Now, it's my intention to grow a lot of food and a lot of flowers in pots this year. I want to have a sort of a movable feast, and it's also going to be a little bit of an insurance policy against drought, because when they're in pots I can really sort of give them a bit more protection when it comes to watering them and keeping them moist. But anyway, without further ado, we'll go out up to the old hen house here, which is where a lot of this wood has now been stored. So these are the lime trees which have been pollarded. Most of this wood now has been cut up. I've employed someone to come in and actually saw up this wood because it's a mammoth task, too much for me. This is just some of it. But you can see now just how much fuel, and this is just, like I say, some of it. But there's a massive amount of fuel. I think I'm going to be self-sufficient when it comes to energy. So although when people say, oh, you're not off-grid, well, there's no point in being off-grid here because I can see the wind turbines over on Kilronan Mountain. So I'll let the electricity company in Ireland, which is still a nationalised utility, by the way, supply me with the electric. That's fine, I support that. But when it comes to fuel, you know, the real fuel to keep yourself warm and to keep the cottage going and to boil the kettle and to do the cooking and to do the baking in the oven, I'm actually getting towards self-sufficiency, which is absolutely amazing and in a very short space of time. This is a beautiful oak here. And if I just walk over here now towards the tunnel, let's go over towards the tunnel and I'll show you yet even more wood. Look at the leaf mass here. It's so deep and it's so fertile. Of course, this is what builds soil and what really creates that fertility in the soil that is so lacking now. It's so lacking here and well, all over the world, that we're having to put chemicals onto the soil to grow anything. Whereas in fact, if we just plant trees and use all the benefits that the trees bring, the leaf drop, the wood drop, we can create a beautifully fertile soil. So here we go. Now that's the shredder there, which my young man has left here because of course there's going to be more work. And you can see here all the willow. All this is willow, which is ready now for logging up. And yeah, just all this wood pile here. Look at this. Look at some of this interesting fungi. It's like fur. It's beautiful. Look. Absolutely beautiful. So there we go. That's an update on the progress. You know, people think, oh, it's hardly spring yet. Well, of course, it's almost the end. Well, no, it's the end of the second week of spring here in the west of Ireland. And there's so much happening. There's so much going on. It's probably the busiest time of the year. Blessings to you all. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely week. I've been getting some work done inside the cottage as well, so I will make a video about that to show you. And in the meantime, here we go. Look at some of these images of spring. Can't get enough of it. I really can't. Even though it's raining and it's grey, it's just so beautiful to be outside and to see all the transformative energy that's happening. Blessings to you all. Oh, and just before I go, it's Sunday, so I'm going to be doing another reading of my second book, In Search of the Goddess Rising, over on Patreon today, and posting that up. There'll be another chapter of the book. Thank you to those of you who support me on Patreon. You can do it for as little as €3 a month, and however much you decide to contribute to Patreon, everyone gets everything that I put up on Patreon. I try to be as, I suppose, just decent about things as possible. So whatever I put up there, it's for everybody. Although there are tiers that you can contribute into, whatever you contribute, I thank you for, from the bottom of my heart. But everybody gets the same material that I put up there. So, blessings to you all. Look at that lovely dogwood and Willow. You can support Bealtaine Cottage and the work I do across social media by buying any one of my books. That's the first one, A Cottage in 3 Acres. That tells the story of how Bealtaine Cottage came into being. There are books, maps, a calendar printed each year, and bumper stickers, and the link to purchasing any of these can be found below every video. All are printed here in Ireland in my local town, and all are posted from Ireland in my local post office.